Welcome to Credopard, the podcast for entrepreneurs and line managers seeking opportunities to grow their sales organization.
I'm Thomas Zartlo, CEO of Credopard, one of Germany's largest independent contract sales organizations for the healthcare industry. Thank you for having me. If you like the Credopard podcast, feel invited to subscribe and like. We are now present on several podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast. In case you would like to provide some feedback or suggest a topic for upcoming episodes, send an email to info@credopard.de. And here we go with our today's topic, Mary's Room. Are you still seeing just black and white? It is 1982. The Commodore C64 home computer is launched and will revolutionize a whole generation. Nicole wins for Germany the European Song Contest. And on the opposite side of the world, the Australian philosopher Mr. Frank Cameron Jackson is publishing a thought experiment called Mary's Room. The plot is the following.
Mary is a brilliant scientist who is forced to investigate the world from a black and white room via a black and white television monitor. She specializes in the neurophysiology of vision and acquires all the physical information there is to obtain about what goes on when we see ripe tomatoes or the sky and use terms like red. She discovers, for example, just which wavelength combinations from the sky stimulate the retina, and exactly how this produces via the central nervous system the contraction of the vocal cords and expulsion of air from the lungs that results in the uttering of the sentence, "The sky is blue." What will happen when Mary is released from her black and white room or is given a color television monitor? Will she learn anything or not?
Given she acquires additional knowledge out of this physical experience, this would mean that there is a kind of understanding beyond data and facts that requires involvement. To experience something was, therefore, something different to learn something. If she were not learning something new, it would mean that one can obtain knowledge about any matter without ever having experienced it. The more one thinks about it, the less clear is the answer to this question. And please do not feel worried if you might not feel entitled to decide on this matter. The raised question is still unanswered and highly disputed, so it's fine to speculate. When I reflected on this interesting question, I started to side with those stating that Mary will learn something new, as one element is hardly grasped. Mary might know everything about colors and neurophysiology, but how must it feel like to see the very first time the red of a rose, the blue of the sky, and the colorful power of a summer meadow? The matters of science can easily explain emotion, but knowing what, for instance, joy is not the same as feeling it. Viewing it from this angle, the answer seems obvious, although it might not be as clear by academic standards. Alright, quite interesting, but what the heck has this to do with sales, you might think? The answer is quite simple. In the very moment your medical sales representative is handing out a sample, he provides a solution to the above thought experiment. The sample is the request to experience the claimed advantages of your product. While the physician might have understood the drug and how it works, knows about the benefits, and might be even convinced that it will work perfectly with a particular patient, the sample entitles him to experience it. It is like switching on the colors. By handing out a sample, we ask the HCP for enriching his knowledge with experience. This is why samples are still used today, and most people will not deny the power of this instrument. While it seems evident that experience will help gather new impressions and widen the understanding of a matter when it comes to promoting a drug, it is still strange that this knowledge is often ignored when it comes to improving our organizations. Just some examples. The HR department is lamenting how stressed it is to coordinate different HR agencies and how time-consuming it is to engage with them. Nonetheless, all offers for discussing a master vendor model are ignored because it appears too complicated. The sales management is annoyed by HR agencies because after a couple of months the new hires left or had to be made redundant due to performance issues. But it is unwilling to implement a model that would reduce the financial risks linked to this challenge, for example offered by Credopard's PV Plus solution. Why? Because one knows that this would not impact the quality of new hires. Procurement claims that different CSOs, when being addressed with a request for proposal, manage to deliver incomparable offers, making it hard to decide on the best fitting offer. Once told that there is consultancy available, such an offer remains unheard, as one would know now how to make it. This list could be continued with many other examples, and if you heard a particular frustration, you heard correctly. It is not that we at Credopard are short on work, but it hurts whenever we experience such an event. Seeing that a client could do better, but experiencing that he is unwilling to switch from black and white to color, sometimes really makes me sad. It makes me feel even more miserable when reviewing the reasons that are causing such decisions. Predominantly, I encounter the following three regularly. First one, budgetary reasons, limiting the freedom of choice. Second, one already gave it a try, but it did not work out. And the third, such a solution was not corresponding to the company's style. Let's have a look at these when we heard pretty convincing points. The budget. We are living in a time where all companies try to reduce their costs. So this argument seems to be very strong. But is it? Reducing your sales force for lowering the total costs of sales is a powerful tool. But if this is the only action taken, it is very likely that also your revenue will go down. Is this what one would aim for? Wouldn't it be better to lower the costs but keep the revenue that automatically led to increasing profit? If you agree, it seems a no-brainer to discuss a hybrid solution or sales outsourcing via the Credopard major product model. You gave it once a try and it did not work out. Well, what exactly was tried and what did not work out? What were the reason for lack of success? And are there any options for managing these factors? What were the reasons for deciding to go with this solution? And do these reasons not exist any longer? If just one of these questions remains unanswered, it makes sense to discuss alternative solutions with your service provider and to review them in collaboration with him. The solution does not correspond to the company's style. So it does not correspond to the company's style to secure and increase the shareholder value. It does not fit the company values to avoid staff termination and constantly browsing for innovative solutions. Is this really the reason, or is it bias? Yes, these questions are provocative and anything but cozy. One might think that a service provider should not dare to ask them. I want to raise the question: are you looking for a cozy service provider agreeing with you on everything, or for a partner that challenges the status quo, adding new thinking and sharing its experience? Is it constructive if your partner just delivers you the latest black and white monitor you're asking for? Or wouldn't it be better if he was inviting you to switch to color TV? Approximately 1 out of 10 companies uses one of the listed arguments, and it is not seldom that we think something like, it is really lamentable as there was a great opportunity which remains unused. In particular, as there are good reasons for not engaging with a contract sales organization. For example, because the company has a steady team working with tremendous success and is neither challenged by a shortage of talent nor a high number of products. It is not always recommendable to try something new, but it certainly is mandatory in a dynamic market to remain open for discussions and to be willing to challenge the status quo. Otherwise it becomes a gamble. And I think that gambling is not the correct answer for an industry responsible for the well-being of patients. We should feel encouraged to switching on the color and open ourselves to new understanding instead of just collecting knowledge. Your today's takeaways. Knowing everything about the topic does not equal a profound understanding of this matter, as it lacks experience. Engage with your service provider and challenge him as well as your current point of view. Robust dialogue with your CSO is a standard for quality. If your partner always agrees on everything, he most probably is not the partner you need. When you too would like to experience what "We Do This For You" signifies for you and your organization, contact us by phone on +49 for Germany 610-2375-3440 or click on www.credopard-solutions.de. Like and subscribe to our podcast for receiving your weekly update. Credopard Podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify and other major platforms. Suppose you would like to suggest a topic or provide feedback, please send an email to info@credopard.de. Our topic next week: the right client under the right terms. How service provider are evaluating you. In the meantime, I wish you all the success you doubtlessly deserve. Stay healthy and remember, Credopard, we do this for you.